Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach NRL channel. In today's video, we're going to have a look at our round 2 review. As you can see, the Angry Pirates are still struggling. We got 910 points for the week, which was well below average. Um, and our season rank has dropped yet again. So, I know I did a video a couple weeks ago looking at my history and how low I've gotten. I think 62,000 would definitely take the record for the lowest position. So, bit of work to do. And if we have a look at the team, we'll have a look at where I guess we might be falling down a bit. So, start with the hookers. So, Harry Grant, 74, which was pretty solid. Um, Obviously, the Storm did not have their best night out against the Dogs, as you can probably tell. I'll wax lyrical about the Dogs' performance more so in the Bulldog Project video, so stay tuned for that one. But, I mean, if that's the absolute worst Harry Grant's going to go, then there's no need to distress. He's going alright. So 74, and particularly with, I guess, a big bounce back this week that Craig Bellamy will demand. Yeah, he's rock solid. He's not going anywhere. Excuse me. On the other hand, Brandon Smith, he's not having much luck to start his career at the Roosters, so back injury, so potentially out for a couple of weeks. Um, but also, if we just have a quick flick over, a break even of 90 makes for fairly ugly reading as well. So he's definitely one that could be on the chopping block this week, even if he does get up to play. Second row, so we've got Tarpany, 64. That's pretty solid. Haven't looked too deep into his stats, but, he's not going anywhere, so there's no point stressing. Tohu Harris was one of the players I brought in, so I was a bit filthy when I saw Nanai, who I traded in, out for Harris. Bagged a double, but I think he ended up about the same sort of score, so around the 70 mark. So, I mean, Tohu, not really, there wouldn't be a lot of attacking stats in amongst that. I really do catch up with the Warriors games because there's definitely some super coach friendly options there, it would seem. But yeah, I'll take that every day of the week. Unfortunately, I left Big Stefano on the bench, although, I guess you could rack up about 30 of his points to a contentious try that the Tigers got against the Knights. I was watching that game for most of it. I did have a nap halfway through because it wasn't the greatest. um, but yeah, would have loved to have those points, but obviously didn't make the right choice in terms of my subs bench. So that happens. And Frankie Pele, so he looks good. One barnstorming run. So super slow burn, I think, on the bench is the best way to describe him at this point. The second race, I guess we'll start with the highlight. Jermaine Hopgood, he's an absolute freak. 124 points. I think he had 2 try assists in that this time around, which boosted him up. But for $300, it looks like there's a bona fide keeper. So we'll take that every day of the week. Cam Murray was a bit flat though. He only got 40. I haven't even actually looked at his stats yet and where it went wrong for him. So he played 60 minutes instead of 80. So maybe there was a head injury assessment or something. I didn't see the game against Penrith. So I guess a few less tackles and that, but that happens. A few less runs as well. So only 10 runs there by the looks of it. 94 sort of decent runs. So I'm not quite sure what happened to Cam Murray. Went a bit missing in attack. But I guess it's always a tough one against the Panthers. And we'd always talked about that South Straw to start with was quite tough. But yeah, as you can see, getting 84 against the Sharks, he does have that upside. So not worried about him at the moment. Matt Dory was in the starting side just because they played that early game on Thursday night, I believe. But anyway, before David Fafita. So he got 41. And I think that's sort of, unless you get some attacking stats, that's about his base. So, I mean, yeah, he'll make money this week. What's break even of -7? So, I guess just have to watch out for after next week what happens in terms of Ryan Madison coming back in the side, because I think Bryce Cartwright's probably um, got the advantage that he's been a little bit more of a workhorse, definitely make more runs and more tackles than previous couple of years. Um, and also the fact he's playing that left edge. So I guess Madison tended to play right edge in the past. So maybe question mark there on Dury if he doesn't have a big one this week. But for Feeder, 69 for the Titans. So he's still looking good. I saw a couple of good runs against the Dragons. Didn't get to watch all the game either. Went out for a little cheeky dinner last night, so missed the back end of it. But yeah, that's what we've paid for, so very happy with Mr. Fafita. Liero, 46, so, right on that average. Must have got 47 last week. So yeah, he's going to make a bit of cash. He's obviously got the job security. Given the Storm are running out of players, he's not going anywhere. Kepi obviously had the bye, so didn't play. I'm glad to have him back this week. So then in the halves, guess this is point A of where it's all gone wrong. So Nathan Cleary, still not at his best yet. Um, Obviously, you could talk about premiership hangover and I guess the World Cup as well has sapped a lot of energy out of some players. Um, so shortened pre-seasons and all that. So I guess you sort of got to forgive. He's got the bye this week, so um, I guess maybe if Nico Hines was to make a comeback, there might be a question about whether that's a straight swap or what happens there. And Tanner Boyd, I guess he's been quite disappointing too, as you can see, 24 this week. So I know it was a bit of a wetter um, game, a windier game for sure against the Dragons. But I guess everyone assumed he'd be outside of Fafita, but Fafita swapped edges. He's playing the left edge outside of Foran now that Bo Fermor's out. So might be, if there's the right option, might be able to actually turf Boyd. The dual flexibility might just save him though. So Adam Dewey, so he was the other trade in this week. Got rid of Matt Burton, thinking he wouldn't score well against the Storm. And I actually got this one right, I think, because despite how well the Dogs played, Burton was the only one who didn't seem to score big. And again, we'll talk about that more in the Bulldogs Project video. And Adam Dewey, obviously, West Tigers were pretty ordinary to not be able to beat a side that was down to 12 men for 15 minutes plus. I think there might have been a sin bin as well in the first half. I can't recall quite what happened. I know Ponga went out first, second minute. Jaden Brayley obviously didn't. Well, he was also out with concussion or HIA. So um, yeah, you would have thought the Tigers would win for sure. But even then, Dewey scoring 56, and that's potentially their worst performance for the year. So pretty glad I brought him in. And Katoa, so 45, so just ticking along nicely. Getting a little bit involved each game, and obviously that confidence will grow and he'll become more involved. So he'll definitely make some money, and pretty glad to have him in the side. Then to the centre wing, where again probably didn't quite pull the right reins, but Val Holmes 47. So yeah, you'd hope that he's the one in amongst all the action. With Drinkwater out, it might help free him up, going back to fullback potentially. Although I'd imagine that Chester, the young player for the Cowboys, probably get the fullback spot because they do also need a centre to cover Peter Hiku. So Holmes will probably stay in the centre, but maybe a bit more responsibility. Hopefully he lifts. Otherwise, we might have to look for an alternate option in the near future. CNK, so I think he was out with a head assessment. Yeah, he 13, which is a bit unlucky. We know what he's capable of. He's no risk of being booted from the team. Taruva 44. So yeah, again I guess sort of in line with Cleary. Just Penrith just need a little bit more time, so happy to allow for that. Will Warbrick 36. I guess I went for him over Alamotti just because of the expected outcome of the game, and it was completely the wrong call, but um, that's okay. We learn. We move on. Speaking of which, Alamotti 48. He did look really good. I think he was the only three-quarter for the Dogs who didn't get a try, so would have been nice for him to get over the stripe. But yeah, it looks ominous if they continue to play like that. Khan Pereira 40, so I think he scored a try which boosted him up. Actually, let's have a quick look. Yeah, so the try there was probably a line break with that too. So still making lots of runs, but also still making a couple of errors. So yeah, -8 in errors is costing him. So probably not the worst, but I guess also there is probably better options if you can afford to go up a bit. But again, man, my rough call of trying to get the arrow in, not having the hammer, means that I'm probably going to not worry about Khan Pereira this week. He should make a bit of cash, 13. Might get it. We'll see. And then, yeah, stick with Captain Tedesco, and again, a bit underwhelming. So, I know there's some people looking to trade him out because they talk about the fixture being a bit rough. Obviously, South this week is no pushover. Then the Eels, the Storm, the Sharks. So, I mean, there's one or two ways you can take that. You can either say, well, he's going to struggle to get attacking stats because, these teams are quite good at football. The other way you could look at it is, well, he's the captain. He's really got to stand up and put in some big performances to get these guys over the line in the next few games. Um, so, yeah. So, I mean, it's just whichever way you look at it is whether you hold him or trade him. I'm probably going to be holding him. But I don't think he'll be in the captain conversation for a while until he can prove otherwise. And Tommy Turbo obviously had the bye as well, but yeah, he was not going anywhere at all. So I guess that's how the team sits as it is. Obviously, some underperformers here, and we want to try to get them out. But I think also we've got to try to make some quick cash. Um, because obviously we're starting from a quite lowly position. So I think the best way forward with that is to be quite aggressive with trades, make as much quick money as we can, and really start to load up on guns as best we can. Probably with an eye to the first buy round as well when we get to that stage. But I think for now I'm going to go with the cash building options. So um, my initial thoughts are Brandon Smith out, and I'm going to swing Tanner Boyd in to bring in Braden Trindle. So this is probably also dependent on the Nico Hines situation, but clearly he's got off to a good start, averaging 61. Um, the Sharks are a good football team, so he'll be involved in some attacking stuff. He kicks the goals that are on the end of all their attacking stuff. Um, so yeah, if he's playing this week, he is definitely in. And even if Nico Hines is back the week after, well, we've made some quick cash. We can, chop and change as we see fit to get Nico Hines in. Obviously, Nathan Cleary's got another week before his price has changed due to the buy. So we do have that advantage as well as we can have an extra look. So it would have been nice to start Trindle and get the points, but it didn't quite work out that way. So From there, I'm thinking we can now do the Loomy Loomy to the hammer trade. I guess there is a bit of a temptation to try and get in Carraz. Did see in retrospect, Wilfred had a video or an article, I should say, talking about Carraz and pumping him up, and he does look really good. Like sort of like a cheaper version of Brian Toto in the sense of making lots of runs, and he's busting tackles, he's offloading, he's doing all that good stuff. So would have absolutely no hesitation in suggesting for people to bring him in, but I can't quite swing it at the moment. So going to bring the hammer back in, finally get to fix that mistake. Makes me feel better about the team. And then that leaves us with a bit of extra cash. So I think, but like I said, we're going to make aggressive trades. So what I'm going to do with the third trade, I'm going to boost, absolutely. So I'm going to get rid of Pele. I just think he's not going to make that quick cash that we're after. And we've got someone like Sean Kepi we can slot back in there. And then who I want to bring in, super cheap, going to make some good money, is Jacob Preston. So, obviously, again, Bulldogs, but yeah, they showed their hand. It looks like he's going to play big minutes on the edge. For Talamarina is going to sort of help fill in that middle role, until they can get a couple more troops back in that rotation. And Pele's just more of that impact player off the bench, giving them, I guess, like the Spencer Leniu role at Panthers is probably the best comparison there. So, sort of cut our losses now, make the trade to Preston, and like I said, pocket that quick bit of cash. All right, so that leaves us with a bit of money in the bank to start or to make some more moves next week. Obviously, next week there'll be a few more cash rises and stuff in play with the Panthers, the Eagles, and the Dragons, all having played their second games this week. So then, obviously, quite a few of those on the bubble, we can sort of have a look at. Also, players like Josh Schuster might be back this week, and that sort of thing we can look to in the future, potentially getting them in. So yeah, so I guess in terms of just quick thoughts on how the team will look. Obviously, Cleary's got to go, so we'll bring in Trindle. Turbo's playing first, so I'm going to swing him in. Taruva's out, so the Hammer's a straight swap there. Warbricker, Alamotti, depends. Dogs against the Tigers, they didn't look great, but bounce back perhaps. The Storm definitely, I think, will bounce back against the Titans. So I might just stick with Warbrick for the time being. So he's not going to be a reserve. Just bring Fafita back in. So even though he's cheaper, Hopgood is the keeper there in the second row. And Tanner Boyd, question mark against the Storm. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to do any good. In fact, I guess probably what I would lean towards, and this might be a big call if Brandon Smith is out, is I might actually trade Boyd out instead. So if Brandon Smith's out, then hopefully he doesn't lose cash. So, that might be the actual play. So then our bench, what we got, Stesco is obviously on. Liero, Dury, they're solid. Preston will definitely be on the bench. Maybe Stefano, maybe something like that. I'll have to have a look at Stefano's base against Dury. Bit iffy. So yeah, I think the team will look something like that. But in terms of vice captain, so the first game there's probably two options: Hopgood or Tommy Turbo. I'm going to lean towards Turbo because I think everyone's going to get on the Hopgood hype train, but hopefully Teddy will score more. But then I'm going to have Harry Grant as the backup option. He's just solid. And like I said, I expect the Storm to have a massive game Saturday afternoon. Hopefully a fast track. Don't know what the weather's like yet. at the Gold Coast on Saturday. But yeah, it's going to look something like that anyway. So I guess that's my initial thoughts on the team and where it's sitting. Obviously, if you've got differing thoughts or even the same thoughts and you just want to tell me, great job. Unlikely. But please comment on the video, like it if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to the channel. The schedule is going to get pretty full of content, particularly given AFL Supercoach kicks off this week as well, if you're into that sort of thing. Um, but other than that, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one.